After inspection, Bryce stated in a published report that 24% of the pupils who had been in the schools are now known to be dead.
The film focuses on Duncan Campbell Scott and Dr. Peter Bryce. Scott was a top official with what was then called the Department of Indian Affairs in the early 20th century. He was a strong proponent of assimilation and the residential school system itself. Dr. Peter Bryce was the chief medical officer for the department at the same time. He spoke out strongly against the unhealthy conditions at residential schools. Both are buried in Ottawa's Beechwood Cemetery. And Beechwood Director of Communications Nick McCarthy says it's important the cemetery reflect the true and most up-to-date history of the two men.
Because history was always written by those who vanquished the other people. So in this case, we're having Indigenous voices, and we're having people really talk about Indigenous issues from an Indigenous point of view. So it's very, very important, and we're seeing that more and more, that people are being more receptive.
Erica Wagner is the programming coordinator for the Beechwood Cemetery Foundation, and she put together the video that accompanies the radio program based on a 1978 CBC production. It's a reenactment of the writings of Bryce and Scott. Wagner says it was an eye-opening experience.
It was just shocking, horrifying that all this information about the schools and the statistics were there so early. Like in 1907, he put the first document out to Duncan Campbell Scott, and the reason that he didn't try to fix anything was money.
Jennifer King of the First Nations Child and Family Caring Society says because of Bryce's writings, Canadians were fully aware of what was going on in residential schools more than 100 years ago.
He was one of the early, if not first, whistleblowers of the residential school system. And from his story, we learn that people of the time did know better. And I think that's something that Canadians in general are still reckoning with.
And I think it's the message is that there's always people that are going to advocate, and you need to listen to those people to right the wrongs so that we don't do the same mistakes.
Fraser Needham, APTN National News, Ottawa.